Castell Dinas Brân is a medieval castle standing high on a hill above the town of Llangollen in Denbighshire, Wales. It is also the site of an Iron Age hill fort. There is also a British Rail Class 25 named after this castle. It has been preserved on the Great Central Railway and its number is D5185. Early history. The first building placed at Dinas Brân was not the castle which now stands in ruins on top of the hill but an Iron Age hill fort built around 600 BC. An earthen rampart was constructed, probably topped by a wooden palisade, and this was further protected by a deep ditch on the shallower southern slope. The walls of the hill fort encircled the village of roundhouses. Dinas Brân is one of many hill forts in this part of Wales. Llangollen is just a couple of miles to the northwest near the Horseshoe Pass, and another is close by at Llangollen in Rwybon to the east. There are many others on the Llangollen Hills further to the north and in the marshes to the south. Medieval history. Dinas Brân is in what was once the ancient kingdom of Powys. The last prince of Powys, Griffith Maelor, died in 1191 and the kingdom was divided into Powys Fadog in the north and Powys Wenwynwan in the south. His son, Madog ap Griffith Maelor, was lord of Powys Fadog and founded the nearby Vale Crucis Abbey. Although no archaeological evidence has been found, some records suggest he ruled from Dinas Brân. If a structure did exist, it would have been a wooden fortification, probably consisting of a wooden palisade surrounding a hall and other buildings. These early records further say it was destroyed by fire and then the new castle was built on the same site. Therefore little prospect for finding any archaeological evidence of the early building remains. An even earlier structure has been suggested, belonging to Elizabeth ap Gwilog from the 8th century. It was this Elizabeth who was named on the pillar of Llangollen as one of the founders of the Kingdom of Powys. But again, no physical evidence for any structure at Dinas Brân has been found. The castle visible today was probably built by Griffith II ap Madog, son of Madog ap Griffith Maelor, sometime in the 1260s. At the time, Griffith II ap Madog was an ally of Prince Llangollen ap Gruffudd, Prince of Wales, with power acting as a buffer state between Llangollen's heartland of Gwynedd and England. Dinas Brân was one of several castles being built following the signing of the Treaty of Montgomery, which had secured Wales for Llangollen, free from English interference. Indeed, the castle at Dolphin Castle near Newtown, ordered to be built by Llangollen around the same time, has some similarities to Dinas Brân and may have been the work of the same master mason. Gruffudd died in 1269 or 1270 and the castle passed down to his 4 sons. Madog, the eldest son, was the senior, but each of the sons may have had apartments at the castle. The peace between Llangollen and Edward did not last long, and in 1276 war started between England and Wales. Edward's larger armies soon invaded Wales and the support for Llangollen crumbled. 2 of the brothers made peace with Edward, the second brother Llangollen and Madog. However, the castle was not in Madog's control, as the surrender document with the English refers to conditions relating to the recapture of Dinas Brân. Meanwhile, Henry de Lacy, Earl of Lincoln, arrived in Oswestry with forces to capture Dinas Brân. As soon as he had arrived, he was told that the defenders of the castle, probably the younger brothers Owain and Gruffudd, who were still allies of Llangollen, Prince of Wales, had set fire to and abandoned the castle. The reason for this action is not clear, but it may be that they had no confidence that they could defend the castle against the English forces, and did not want to let it fall intact into Edward's or their elder brother's hands. The castle was not badly damaged, the fire being mainly limited to the timber structures within the walls, and Lincoln recommended to King Edward that the castle be repaired and garrisoned with English English troops. Edward placed some troops at the castle at least into the next year, 1277, when Llangollen sued for peace and ordered some repair work to be undertaken. The history of the castle during the final war, which restarted in 1282, is not recorded. It may have been recaptured by the Welsh like many other castles in the early months of the war, but ultimately the English were victorious. Madog had by now died and the three surviving brothers all fought for the Welsh prince, but to no avail, and following the end of the war in October 1282 and the death of Llywelyn, Prince of Wales, most of Powys Fadog and the castle was granted to John de Warenne, Earl of Surrey. Rather than rebuild Dinas Brân, de Warenne chose instead to build a new castle at Holt on the Flintshire, Cheshire border, and Dinas Brân continued till the present day, a picturesque and romantic ruin. Castle layout. Dinas Brân is basically a rectangular castle with the longer sides running east-west. Beyond the northern wall, the steep natural slope falls sharply several hundred feet, whilst the southern and eastern walls are defended by a 20 feet deep ditch. At the southeastern corner, where the ditch is at its deepest, stands the keep, which looks out onto a relatively easy approach to the castle from the River Dee. The two-story keep would have been the strongest part of the castle, with its own defended approach through a narrow passage. Next to the keep at the northeastern corner is the gatehouse, which was originally approached by a wooden bridge spanning the ditch. There is, however, almost no evidence remaining of the bridge and its supporting structure, so that the exact configuration remains unclear. The bridge was also overlooked by the keep, which allowed archers stationed there to guard the entrance. The gatehouse had two towers either side of a decorated covered passageway into the castle courtyard. The Great Hall is sited on the castle's southern side, where some of the more visible remains still stand. This was a large room used for dining and receiving visitors. Its much enlarged windows still look south across the valley, and an arched gateway leads from the west end of the room to what was once the kitchens, in the basement of the adjacent apsidal tower. This tower, called the Welsh Tower, is a typical feature of Welsh castles of the period. It would have protruded from the castle wall into the defensive ditch and provided archers with a clear view of any attackers attempting to approach the southern wall. The tower had perhaps 3 stories with living quarters on the upper floors. In the southwestern corner was a postern gate. This was an additional exit from the castle, designed to be used in times of siege to allow the garrison to sally out and attack the besiegers. Fragments of the arch remain, as well as the slot from the door's drawbar. Originally, in the enclosed area of the castle there would have been stables, workshops, storage buildings and maybe a chapel, but as these were built of wood, nothing remains above ground level. Etymology. Although the name Dinas Brân is sometimes incorrectly translated as the City of Crows, the word Dinas means fortified place or fortress in Middle Welsh, while Brân is the Welsh for crow, suggesting a meaning, the crow's fortress. An alternative theory is that Bran is a personal name. There is a legend which says that Bran was a Cornish prince, the son of the Duke of Cornwall, while another suggests Bran could be named for King Bran Fendigade, also called Bendigeidfryn, a Celtic god who appears in both Welsh and Irish mythology. A further suggestion is that Bran simply refers to a mountain stream of the same name which runs at the foot of the hill, a suggestion made by Thomas Pennant amongst others. The castle is known in English as Crow Castle. This form of the name has been used since at least the 18th century, having been recorded in Gough's edition of William Camden's Britannia. By the mid-19th century, this was the form of the name said to be used by most of the inhabitants of Llangollen, where there was an inn of the same name. Visiting the castle. The castle may be approached from two directions. From Llangollen, the path starts from Canal Bridge and runs beside Castell Dinas Brân. It gradually climbs past several cottages before opening out onto the lower slopes of the hill. A zigzag path then climbs to the summit. The other route starts from Wales.It path on the northwestern side of the hill. This route is shorter but steeper. Official advice is to equip yourself with stout walking shoes and warm, waterproof clothing before climbing to the castle. The castle is a scheduled ancient monument owned and maintained by Denbighshire Council with the assistance of CADW.